What's up? What's up? Guess who's back? Tiny's Universe. Here we are. What's going on, Macroverse and everybody? Glad you're watching. Glad you're tuning in. If you're not watching live, we are a little bit late, as I would say, as usual these days. But nonetheless, we wanted to come and chat for a little bit and hang out and catch everybody up to what's been going on, and if you've missed anything over the last few weeks, kind of just catch everybody up to speed. If you're new, I'm Tiny Universe. This is a show that I like to host that basically tells you everything you need to know about Macroverse and what's happening in the world of Macroverse. And with that being said, usually I have my good friend Evan. I'd like to bring him in.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello and welcome. Good to see you, sir. It's been, let's see, we missed last week for complications.
Maybe 2 weeks now because I was sick.
2 weeks.
I don't know.
I think we did one after you were sick, and then I think we were out last week. So I think it's just fair to say this is a show that happens at a regular-ish time and interval as we can pull each other together to chat. So it's good. I mean, you can also catch up on all the back episodes on YouTube or on the different social channels that it's streaming out to. So this is a kind of a free form conversation, as it is many nights where we don't really have a set agenda. I'm Evan Matthews, co-founder and CEO at Macroverse, and I think this whole thing started as just a way to keep up to date with what we're working on and be able to share as much as possible about the stuff that we're in the middle of putting together. So, what is Macroverse? If you don't know, we're what I now like to kind of think of as a platform-based publisher for content, which is a horrible word, but entertainment media at the intersection of digital and collectible. So basically everything we do has some digital component, has some collectible component, and everything we're working on kind of lives at the cross section of the two. Sometimes that means physical product that has a collectible component. Sometimes it means digital things that have a collectible component, and more things that bridge the gap between those two sides of the world. So we talked last time about the upcoming Wu-Tang album release that we're doing. It's actually Mathematics times Wu-Tang. So Mathematics is the DJ and producer that put the album together. He actually created the iconic Wu-Tang logo as well, which is pretty cool. And this is our first vinyl mixed print release, which is our product line where essentially we create one of infinite numbers of variations for especially printed material, which is very hard to do and took a lot of figuring out, but we can now do this for comics and vinyl and pretty much anything that can be printed. And so this is our first vinyl release, and it's coming out. We were chatting just before we jumped on, so I'll go ahead and answer that question. It's coming out for Record Store Day, which is in April. I don't remember the exact day. I think it's April 13th, maybe, something like that.
I was going to say, I was reading before we jumped on, and I thought I read 4/12.
Might be the 12th, yes. Definitely check. I'll minimize us for just a second here because I'm very proud of what we did here with this. So if I'm able to hide us here somehow, I can see how I can make everyone full screen. But let's see how I just show the background. Let me see. Nope. We have lots of configurations. Do any of them involve showing the background? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hide us for just a moment. So don't worry, everyone. We'll be right back. But I want you to see a sense of what the album artwork looks like because it is so very cool. So just hang on one second. All right. So there's a little sneak peek. Basically, there are 5,000 albums, 5,000, in this release. So it's a limited edition, one of 5,000. It's a very high quality, vinyl release. So this is the thickest vinyl that you can produce at the highest audio fidelity. It's 2 discs. It's very collectible and intentionally. So every single jacket cover is a unique variation. So if you get to the store and they've got 5 copies, all 5 of them are going to be different. But you might be very challenged to choose between them. I think that is definitely true. And then actually the news since we talked last is, so this is an exclusive record store day release. So as we said, it's April 12th, 13th, something like there. If you want one of these, definitely check the date because they are going to sell out. There is no question about that.
Yeah.
And we actually got a message from the UK. So England also does Record Store Day. They have their own flavor of it. So they saw what we were doing and they're like, wait a second, how come we can't order this? And so we had to scramble. Part of what we've been doing for the last week is scrambling to get them a new batch because we, initially they're like, well, just give us make another 1,000. We're like, but everyone has to be a unique variation. We're not just going to take 1,000 from here and ship them overseas. So we made a new batch of 1,000. So in a weird, unexpected way, the UK release will actually be even more rare than the US release. So there's 5,000 in the US, 1,000 in the UK. Their Record Store Day is right around the same time, but it is not the exact same day. But in both cases, definitely check what the dates are. And man, we got some really cool ones. Like there's only a handful that we've been kind of authorized to show by the PR and everybody that's kind of working on putting this together. There's about 10 that are in the different press releases and things. But out of the 6,000 variations, like this is a case where like I don't think there's a single one that's not awesome. But there are probably 100 that are just like jaw dropping. Like, where did this come from? Incredible! Like, didn't even know that combination could happen.
I feel like maybe the last time we were on, you might have shown a couple sneak peeks and a couple variations.
I'm sure. I think I did. So if you go find the last show, you can scrub through and find some examples of some of the other covers. But truly awesome. And just shout out to Stephen Perkins for doing the artwork on this. Some people know him as the Deadtown artist and also our head of production. But he is just show-stoppingly great illustrator. And it's one of our kind of internal goals for this year is to actually take him out of doing as much of the production side of things as he has been. And he's really been a champion behind the scenes for everything that we've done, helping to put all that stuff together. But he needs more time to draw. And this was a good example of that, where it's like, we just knew he'd do a great job with it, but he just crushed it. That just like, we need more art. There are more people that can help produce stuff, but he's gotta be able to do what only he can do. So we're working on that. It's very cool.
So, I think speaking of mixed print, I brought up Heat Seeker.
Yes.
Before anybody that jumps on Discord, I just posted that I grabbed my issue number 2, and that was another one that Mixed Print did with the 1-of-1 covers, which I am a huge fan of. They're super. I don't know the word for it. When I want to say like artistic, but they look more like they're painted.
Yeah, so these are the first issue had a little more not safe for work elements. This one a little bit still, but not as bad. So if you're particularly sensitive to a little side boob, this is your warning to turn away for a minute. but these are a few of the permutations. So as we were talking about, this kind of gives you a sense of how this works, where it's like it's all the same. Clearly the same collection, same set of images. They're all related to each other, but very different look, accessories, different styling that has been done on each of them. So, while yes, you can kind of see like, oh, there's a relationship between all these images, they're all completely unique. So this is Heatseeker Combustion issue number 2. This was out in stores, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point. And then Heatseeker number 3, Combustion. For anyone that doesn't know, and it's something we could talk about, there's a big, there's quite a bit of upheaval and evolution happening in the traditional comics industry at the moment, and the biggest kind of source of that is that the biggest distributor, Diamond Comics Distribution, declared bankruptcy at the end of January or beginning of February, I guess, just been a few weeks ago. And as a result of that, most of the publishers are scrambling in one way or another. And so Titan, who publishes Heatseeker, has had to cancel the original solicitation for Heatseeker number 3, and now will be resoliciting it. So there's not a current date for its release, but fear not, it will come out. Number 4 has already been sent to the printer, and actually, you heard it here first. We're already working on mixed print covers for the next Heatseeker series as well, and then some other fun surprises coming after that. And they just keep getting better, if I dare say.
No, I on the first one I had 4 reserved, and the first one I cracked because they are, they're blind bagged. If anybody hasn't heard anything about these yet, I was so taken back by what I pulled out. I was like, I have to open another one. And I wanted to keep some blind bagged, and I couldn't. It was funny. On this one, I had only reserved 2, and the guy's like, I have 3. I was like, I'll take them all. And I didn't even hesitate. I had to see all 3 of them.
Yeah. It's been fun. The artist for these covers is a gentleman named Brow, who I've come to really love his work. And like you said, this one has kind of a painted quality to it, which is cool. And the stuff he's doing on the latest ones that we're working on, even more so. Like, just everyone kind of gets better. That he was telling me that there have been some people that have sent him photos of like 20 of them, all kind of like it's really cool.
I believe it, especially I guess like here, in the shops that we have, unless I pre-ordered them, they're just not bringing in that many copies of it. I don't really think of much of anything.
Yeah.
And so if I had the opportunity, I guess, to have like opened a few and then been, gone back in and they were there, I probably would have bought more.
Yeah. I think that is one thing I'm looking forward to, is some of the Wu-Tang stuff is certainly getting seen by a bigger audience. And then I think with some of the stuff that's coming, this particular series, like these are specifically the blind bagged covers, not because of them being mixed print, because they are a little racy. So we've got some other stuff that's coming which won't be blind bagged, and so I'm particularly excited for and kind of curious about, when you walk into the store, my theory, and we'll see if it proves to be true, but I think it will. My theory is that you'll walk in and see on the shelf that everyone is different, and then you really will have a hard time not with a couple more than you possibly intended to.
Well, and that was another thing I think we talked about in the past was, I think it might have been the Wu-Tang vinyls, maybe is what I think it was. And I was asking if they would be on the shelf and you could go in and actually see the variants, because like you said, if there's 3 to 5 on the shelf or something, what do you do? That's a tough decision.
It is a tough decision.
So I think that I think it'll definitely draw more attention outside of a blind bag. Especially if they know how to display it and they play it to their advantage, man.
Actually, here I just found something I can share, so I'll share my screen for a second. This is from the vinyl plant where they're assembling all of these. So hold on a second, and I'll do a little screen share here. Let's see. This is always a little tricky trying to screen share, but we'll get there. This is, I think we've talked about this before. This is the one like really weird thing about this particular streaming app is that when you want to share your screen, you have to be so fast on the thing that you're trying to share because it only notices for a second. There we go. So this is an actual like printed, polybagged, like fully finished, getting ready to be delivered, version of this. So it's the double album. It's the the vinyl on the inside, and then this label on the side, which is called a Obi label or a hype label. And there's a whole kind of collector's thing about this in vinyl too, where I believe it originated in Japan, where people would print these kind of additional labels or not really stickers. It kind of wraps around the sides of the album and it gives all the specs and details. But it's become like a whole collectible thing as well. But pretty cool to actually see it all assembled. So this is what they'll look like, on the shelf. Is they'll all be polybagged. Pick the one or ones that you want, and then good luck.
Man.
It's very cool.
Yeah, no, that looks unreal.
Yeah, I love there's multiple different types of dragons and things, but this Asian or Chinese dragon here is just so freaking cool. It's pretty dope. So just shout out to Steven again, just really crushed it.
Yeah, that's another one. Like, I didn't know if it would be a pre-order. I don't even know like any vinyl, any shops in town that would, have a vinyl day. I gotta look around because
you gotta find whoever's participating in Record Store Day should have it. I'd be surprised. Most stores are gonna probably have at least one copy.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can.
One copy's not many. I need to.
I mean, I'm not kidding. If you or other people want these, like, you should definitely find out if you can. Order them or reserve them. I think they're really gonna go pretty quickly.
No, I mean the marketing was phenomenal. Still is. I'm still getting super blast from it. They've got Wu-Tang. I guess has. Maybe some others, like another record or two coming.
Well, they just announced a tour, so that's the other thing is
that's what I was just about to say. Now they announced this massive tour. So
it's like 26 cities, I believe. Yeah, and we might have something to announce around that too. We're kind of figuring out.
I was gonna say. So I mean, like, the hype is real. I mean, like everything on social media, like every few advertisements I feel like is either album related or tour related. So
they're
definitely
so recordstoreday.com is your source of information about this, and I'm just gonna confirm the day here, but there's like a big orange button at the top that says show record stores near me.
Okay.
So that should be your way to locate it. But yeah, this has become a thing, which is very cool. It's very fun to be a part of, I must say. So let's see. I'm surprised it doesn't have the date like right at the top of the screen, though.
That's why I was like kind of in a panic a little bit. I was like, I know I didn't miss it.
You definitely didn't miss it.
Where to get it?
April 13th. So yeah, Sunday, okay. April 13th. And then this particular edition is exclusive to Record Store Day. So this will be the only like we are contractually not allowed to release it again after Record Store Day. So it is a thing for this particular event. So we may get the chance to do some other stuff, which is a basically my way of saying we will do some other stuff. But this particular release is going to be, just this. So it's going to be, this is going to be funny in the context of previous conversations, not financial advice. I do think these are going to show up on eBay like pretty quickly
and
at big numbers.
Not at retail face value. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of for myself.
I mean, I'm probably gonna have to go out and get my own copy. So
yeah, I'm like, at least, like, I guess that was kind of like when I was doing my research today. I was like, at least I got time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not like, generally, I feel like, and I've got some vinyls. That's generally like, if I'm gonna actually listen to music, that's probably my favorite way anymore these days. I feel like a lot of stores carry vinyls, but I just don't see them doing like a record store day or anything like that. It's like, they have, I don't know, maybe a couple from like your top 10 like pop, and then they have some old records, and that's it. It's not like a big collection, like
there's gonna have to be one around you. Go to after we're done, recordstoreday.com and
so that's what I figure. I mean, like, where I'm from in like North Carolina, man, there was like a couple places that were like pure vinyl store, like, I mean, it was unreal. And they would like buy, like old cassette tapes and CDs and stuff, and that's what they did, was they had vinyl. But I haven't seen a place like that in quite a while. Sad.
Yes. I do have one other thing that I can share here as well. So shifting gears from Mixprint to the other big product line that we're doing right now called Authentic Editions. So this is a fully finished copy of Tales 19. And it came out spectacularly great. So this was, I think we talked about, I showed the individual page samples. We talked about, like, this was literally the last thing where we had to approve, the exact cover stock. Actually, I have a few different versions of cover stock.
Let me ask you something. How are those put together? Are those like stapled inside, or?
Yeah, so it's pretty traditional as far as that goes. So there's two staples.
Okay, so they go all the way through. Yeah,
so it's it is essentially what you're familiar with as far as what a comic is.
Like I because some of them are going to be so many pages. I wasn't sure if they would be kind of like the Marvel Giants or something, where they're stapled inside and then glue wrapped over.
Yeah. No, this is two staples. This is actually here's an interesting little tidbit about this project, which has been part of what we've been so meticulous or insane about, depending on your point of view. So we're dealing with all of the comics in these collections currently, in both the Esprit Code Horror collection and also with Archie, are in a weird time zone where there really was no standard comic book size. So when we think about Silver Age comics or Golden Age comics, at this point we've all agreed on it's a Silver Age size and a Golden Age size, mostly because of boards and bags. So in order to standardize boards and bags, they've the industry has said a Silver Age comic is this big, a Golden Age comic is this big. We have a whole spreadsheet where we've literally measured every comic in the collection down to the centimeter. And they're all over the place. They're like roughly the same size, but it is not at all unusual for one comic to be a centimeter a lot taller or wider than another, even issues in the same run from the same series.
So, not to interrupt, but I, like with a standardized box that they're going in.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So this is, first of all,
Look at
God,
the cut. That's just unreal. It's so
cannot
cool.
wait for people to get these in their hands. There's a feel. We had a. I'm not going to say what the meeting is because I can't announce it yet. But there's something that we're working on, which is hopefully going to be the next Authentic Editions release. And I went and met with these guys, and I gave them one of these as a sample. And the first thing she did is picked it up and smelled it. Yep.
Yeah.
It does. It feels like it. It smells like it. If it walks like a duck and sounds like a duck, this is a duck. So the funny thing. So this is what we had to ultimately decide on, and this is actually one of these decisions we just made today. So because these are all over the place, this is one of the very few. There are two places where we've made a couple of decisions or concessions to absolute fidelity to the originals. One is we decided not to do them all at slightly different sizes.
Okay. All
so
right.
What we did do is what we basically came to our own Silver Age size and our own Golden Age size based on looking at the spread of all of the different sizes. And so the majority of them are still not what people think of as Silver and Golden Age, but they were close enough that we could go like, okay, everything that falls in this kind of semi-Silver Age category is this size, and everything that falls in the slightly more Golden Age size, this size, and they're all the same height. The Golden Age ones are slightly wider. And so we're able to standardize it that way. And then as far as the boxes, what we've ultimately decided to do is they're actually all going to go in Golden Age bags and boards. And then that helps determine the size of the boxes. And so they'll have this very nice kind of uniform feel to them in the packaging, even though they're basically two different sizes of books when you pull them out. So that's one of our few concessions. The other thing that we did, which is different than the originals, which I think people will appreciate, is that there's a selection of actually the rarest and most valuable of these books, which were printed during World War II. And because of the steel shortage and metal shortages going to the war effort, they were originally published with only one staple. And so we did have a debate about this too, of like, there's a part of, in all of this, there's a part of us that just was like, well, if it had one staple, it should only have one staple. But we ultimately did decide to be more generous than they could be in the 40s and go ahead and give those books two staples as well, because they just do fall apart. Like
I think we talked about that before, and I think I wanted to say like I'm the first to thank you, because as soon as I went to pull it out, I'd rip the cover off like instantly.
Yeah, and that's actually why so many of those books, if you look them up as graded copies, so many of them will say loose cover unattached.
Cool, yeah.
Because of that exact thing. So
yeah, I would do it like first pull out of the bag, first cover, I rip it off. I already know myself. One staple, no way.
Exactly. So very, very fun stuff. It's so where are we with this stuff? We're continue to be delayed by paper. So we gave this update last week. We still do not have a date on press because of that. So we are meeting with the printers tomorrow to hopefully get some answers and resolution to that end.
So, and how does that affect, like, I was going to bring this up next, but Archie, I mean, like, does that like,
the good news is, fortunately not. So with Archie, we had promised delivery in May, and May or June, I can't remember now exactly. I think it was May. So assuming that we can nail down a time on press and get the paper delivery that we're waiting for, which we know we will, it just becomes a question of when.
Yeah.
So we're building Archie into that as well. So we should be able to get enough of what we need to be able to do Archie, or to be able to do pre-code horror, basically do Archie right after. And then what we're trying to work and plan for is to be able to do the next one as well. So that once we get through these first 2 or 3 projects, we should have a much more kind of well-oiled machine around all this. And then the other part of it, which is kind of interesting, is, it is both a feature and a bug that we're kind of creating all this stuff and figuring all this stuff out that no one else knows how to do, because even the printer is like, we can do it. Obviously, there's a book. But even the printer is like, oh, we're doing this? Okay, now we understand. And so a few of those.
They're like, oh, you were serious.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an adventure. This is definitely a jump out the window and build the plane on the way down scenario, but it's happening. So Archie should be, we believe, on track. And actually, if you are an Archie backer, then the surveys are going out. If not tomorrow, we think they'll go out tomorrow, but they'll go out within the next 48 hours. The way that works is you do a little sample. It sends out to like 5% of the backers, and then making sure that whole system works. So then it sends out to everybody else. So within 48 hours, those should all be out. That means if people want to add and kind of finalize those orders and add anything else to them, this is the chance to do that. And then we should be basically on track with Archie. And then, man, I can't wait to say what the next one is. But we also really want to get really want to get stuff into people's hands before we do the next one.
Let me ask you this: when should we expect the Von Dingles?
Von Dingles is done. So that is also something that we're working on with the printer. It's a different printer for Von Dingles.
Yeah.
The schedule, the time to get them printed. There's one other component to that, which I should have more information on. Probably won't be this week, probably will be next week. But an exciting thing for Von Dingles, which will bring it to a bigger audience, which may impact that a little bit as well. So there's a couple logistical things around that. And then that kind of leads into a broader kind of publishing release 2025 schedule, which we'll be able to talk about pretty soon as well. If anyone is going to be at San Diego this year, there will definitely be some fun things to play with in the Macroverse world. And then we're also going to be at LA Comic-Con this year. So we will have a very limited number of some of these things available for sale, and to be able to meet people and introduce them to some of the stuff that's coming on the platform side and all kinds of fun stuff. So this summer, there's going to be a lot of ramping up around all this. And I think a chance for people that even aren't following along to actually get things in their hands and go from there.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, that'd be exciting. I can't wait to see Macroverse at Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, we won't be there. We will have our own booth at LA Comic-Con this year. We will not have our own booth at San Diego, but we'll be piggybacking on some friends and partners. Yeah.
All right. What else is going on, man? I think we're caught up.
I think we're pretty caught up. I mean, there's always a lot going on, but those are the main things.
Talk about at the moment.
I think let me give a little platform update. So we've made a ton of progress over the past month on infrastructure and kind of getting a bunch of stuff set up. We've added some features that are going to be really beneficial to the initial rollout and beyond. So I think, how do I want to talk about this? I think, if you go to macroverse.com right now, you'll see a button in the upper right-hand corner. So it's still the Archie homepage at the moment, but there's a button in the upper right-hand corner, which says, I believe, waitlist. Does it say waitlist? What does it say?
I don't know. I was about to say, I want to go look.
Yeah, I'm going to go look too. Join waitlist. So, okay, close, pretty close. So join waitlist. Definitely recommend doing that. We're going to be opening up the kind of first version of the platform just to the people on the wait list initially, and then we'll start to go wider than that as we release stuff and get, as people start to receive this stuff from Authentic Editions, and even the Wu-Tang album has a way to interact with the platform. So
that.
Everything, everything that comes out from us is going to tie back into what we're building on the platform. And I think we're doing some things as usual that are a little different and a little contrarian, but I think are also going to be a lot of fun. And I am more dedicated than ever to making the platform side of what we do by the end of the year be really the central hub for everything comics. So if it's if you're a fan of any of this stuff, you're going to be very happy to be there early. You're going to be very happy to have participated in any of the stuff that we've done over the past couple of years. It's going to take some time to bring all these Lego blocks together, but it will never stop being what we're doing. So if you've gotten stuff from us, in any of the previous collections that we've done, if you've gotten stuff from us on Drip House, if you've gotten stuff from us in the other projects that have come under the umbrella of Macroverse over the past couple of years, if you've gotten stuff all the way back to even the Boondock Saints release that we did in 2012, there are going to be ways to bring those things all together and have some fun doing it with some things that that we've already built and that are in the roadmap for this year that are going to be really exciting. Not only that, we will have some pretty killer announcements again, kind of by summer, around not just being a place for the things that you know us for, but kind of being a place for a lot of stuff that you'll be excited to have in and on the Macroverse. And being able to bring all those things together in one place, I think is just going to be a really wonderful thing for people that like this stuff that we like. So if you're a geek like us, if you're a geek like me, Macroverse is going to be a destination for a lot of this kind of stuff. And again, just get on the wait list, because being there early, we're designing a bunch of stuff right now that is designed for rewarding early adopters, rewarding the first people that are on the platform. This is, if you're familiar with our app, it's related to what you've seen from us on the app, but it's also like a whole new world that is coming into existence here. So that's all I'll say about that at the moment. But from us is going to tie back in, and then what on the platform will tie back out. So there's a whole cycle that we're building into this whole thing.
Anything comics related, I'm sold. You got me there.
Yeah, it's anything comics related plus. So we'll definitely be very comics focused, at least especially in the these first phases. But I really see this as a way to, excuse me, drinking too much sparkly water in the middle of our podcast. But I really see, what we're building, again, like the intersection of digital and collectible, both on the physical and digital side. And then over time, more and more, really just a whole ecosystem for pop culture. Because I think one of the things I think is so impactful about comics as an art form and as a medium is that even to this day, so much of the impact of what we consume across all of pop culture, even the things that aren't obvious. Like, one of the things that's been really interesting diving into all this authentic edition stuff is just being able to track back some of the fundamental storytelling tropes and concepts, and the whole just wave and way that storytelling has evolved, that genres have evolved. Like, in some ways, it kind of all goes back to comics, or at the very least, comics have played a role in driving all those things forward. And so I think there's just a really unique position that comics have in the broader pop culture landscape, because it seems like a relatively small thing, but it's like the ripple effect is pretty significant. And we've talked in previous episodes or previous shows about with Archie, for example, like the birth of the love triangle, the Archie, Betty, Veronica love triangle. Like, that's an invention of Archie Comics, and it's such a part of just the air that we breathe when it comes to rom-coms and TV and everything else. So there's just all kinds of those little things that actually originated in comics and have just become permeated throughout the entertainment landscape. So anyway, that's a broad way of saying that when we're thinking about how we're building the platform, we're also looking at how does this kind of expand and extend into kind of the lifestyle that it is to be this kind of a collector and consumer that we are, and that we think there are a lot more of us out there that would like something that's kind of tailored not just to the individual things, but to what it is to be that person. So we're gonna have some fun.
One last question.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about it in a while, and it just made me think about it because I know everything goes together, and I'm also wondering how this will go with the website, but Drip House.
Yeah, so we have not done a drop over the last couple of months, and it's mostly just from being swamped in everything else. So I continue to be very bullish on Drip House. As I just said, everything we've released there is going to have some additional utility as we bring out what we're building on the Macroverse side over the next several months. We will do more there. Like, there's no question. Like, I actually have. Especially in the Vogue side of things, I think I have like 4 more drops that we haven't released yet, and Jason just keeps cranking out amazing stuff. So that will definitely come. Everyone that's on the leaderboard, you'll continue to have your position on the leaderboard. Like, all that is going to be ramp back up. And we've got some new stuff that we've been working on the Macroverse side as well. So there will definitely be more drops on Drip House. I'm still on there every day claiming my droplets and getting collectibles from artists that I follow. So again, remain very bullish on what they're building over there. And there'll be more from us, and then more ways to tie all those things together. But yes, I hate to say that it is purely a function of bandwidth for me at the moment that we haven't gotten another drop.
I mean, listen, I know my life, and I know you got kids and work and life, and man, it's tough to balance everything. So
I'll share something with you for anyone that's watching. So the arc of my career has been wanting to be the person that was signing my name on stuff. Definitely, especially in the early days, I wanted initially to be a professional comics artist. So I practiced my, image comic style signature a whole lot. And was really angling towards that. And then as I, graduated from art school, I wanted to go and do character design at Lucasfilm, and almost got to do that, but some life things got in the way of that. And then that's what led me to start my first company. And so, it's kind of the very much hands-on in the creative of all of that. And then, all the stuff that Adam and I have done in, writing, directing, and producing stuff, and new media and animation, and all the things that we did for the first 20 years. And then even in building Macroverse, the first permutations of it, it's like, I always struggle a little bit with not wanting to sound too obnoxious, and I do try to be humble about this stuff, because by no means is it all me. It is absolutely not all me. There's an incredible team that's helped us build everything all along the way, but there are some key things that I really am responsible for. And so, like, the tab story format, is something that I invented and figured out, and spent a lot of time in the actual files trying stuff and playing with stuff. And then we brought some more people on, and I taught that to them, and then they brought their own ideas to it, and it got better. But a lot of these things is, they start with me poking around with stuff, trying to figure that stuff out. So a lot of it with, even with Authentic Editions, it's like, we had an idea of how we were going to do it. We produced some samples initially that worked and looked great, which gave us the confidence to go ahead and launch the Kickstarter. And then once we got into having to deal with thousands of pages, then this was another case where it's like, this is my unique skill set. I can say yes to stuff and I can figure out how to do it. And we talked about that before, but this is another case where it's like I had to really get in the weeds with, dozens of pages to then figure out a way to streamline the process and start to scale the production side of it and all that. And so there are times when I need to continue to do that, but I've also grown, I think, over the past couple of years into realizing and really shifting my own focus where I think where my biggest value to this thing that we're trying to build in the first couple of years was, I think, primarily on the creative side. Now I think the biggest value to what we're trying to build for me is to try to get out of the creative side to a large degree and focus more on what the strategy is and how we're putting these different pieces together and making sure that the right people are in the right places. And so, I kind of feel like I'm growing up a little bit as far as the kind of like CEO role of all of this. And there's a little bit of a cliche around, transitioning from working in the business to working on the business. And that's kind of my goal for this year, is to like really make those steps to still be able to dive in where I can be useful and where I can have the biggest impact, but to be able to also kind of step out of some of the day-to-day minutia of making sure that this file gets to this place at the right time, and being able to focus on putting all the building blocks together in the way that, I think we really have an opportunity to do something very special. So that is my own little journey for this year, and kind of my macro objective, pun intended, is to be able to continue to make all this cool stuff. But I do think the say yes and figure it out brought me really far, and then I think now it's being able to connect all the dots in a way that I think are pretty unique, and continue to build out this team. And we've really attracted an incredible group of people that have allowed us to take each of these steps. And so, you're among them, and I appreciate that. And, there's more to do.
Yeah.
I can't be the bottleneck, which I certainly have been at times. So, yeah.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know much.
Well, thank you, sir. So that's probably a good place to end it. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
We mentioned it last time. It may not be the best place, but my favorite place at the moment is still Discord.
Yeah.
Still popping. So if not there, Facebook, you can find me under my AKA, which would be Scott Pierpont, my real alias.
Your real alias. That's is that even a thing? A real alias? And for me, I'm at Ebonverse just about everywhere. So Twitter, Instagram, whatever is me personally, and then at Macroverse on Twitter /X and Macroverse HQ just about everywhere else. Definitely for the stuff that we're doing right now, I would suggest finding us on Kickstarter. So the Macroverse profile on Kickstarter for the current projects, which are currently closed for new orders, but you can also follow along for the next stuff that we're going to do. One thing that we're going to be launching over the next little bit, is a email, more direct email newsletter kind of updates as well. So if you get on the wait list at macroverse.com, then you'll also, be essentially on that list as well. We won't opt you in without your permission, but assume that you'll have access to some pretty exclusive stuff as well as additional news, and be kind of the first to know as some of these other things launch. But if you want me directly, at Ebonverse just about everywhere, happy to connect with everyone. And if you tag me in the Discord, I'll see that as well. So there we go. We will be back roughly the same time, generally the same place.
Hey man, as long as everything goes well, and I can stay healthy, I swear, with all these little kids and stuff. Like I was saying before the stream, we had a birthday party, and then I'm coaching t-ball. Like I'm just surrounded by kids and germs.
Danger, yeah.
I'm just trying to stay healthy right now.
Yep.
Otherwise, I anticipate fully.
Very good. Well, we will definitely be back to talk more about everything going on in the Macroverse and beyond. In the meantime, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Stay safe out there. Say something nice to the people that care about you and the people that you care about. And we'll be back soon.